Hello. Today we're going to work on Lab Section 6.4, Day 2, which deals with multiplication in different bases. For number 1, we want to construct a multiplication table for base 3. If we're not carrying, our products are exactly what we think they are. 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0, etc., etc. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. The only one we have to think about is 2 base 3 times 2 base 3 is, well, it's 4, so think of how many 3's that would be. That would be 1 3, and then 1 1. So 2 times 2 in base 3 gives you 1 1 base 3. So we're going to use that to multiply 1 2 1 base 3 and 2. 1 times 2, you get 2. 2 times 2, we get, well, it's a 2-digit number, so it's a 1. Carry the 1. And we do 1 times 2 is 2, plus a 1. We want to say 3, but there is no 3. It would be a 0 in the 1's place, and you would carry a 1 into the 3's place, giving our final answer as 1012 base 3. For number 3, realistically, we don't need to construct multiplication tables for each of these. I want to make my place divisions to keep everything nice and organized, and also remind myself that I'm not in base 10. So 3 times 4 is 12. What we want to ask is how many times does 5 go into 12? 2. So that's what we end up carrying. And what's left over? Well, 10. What's left over? Just the 2. So we're going to write remainder 2 down here. And this is how we're going to do it from now on. That each time you carry, you're going to carry by how many times 5 or whatever the base is goes into the number. And then the remainder is what you get as a result on the bottom. So our next one is 3 times 4, again is 12. Plus 2 is 14. How many times does 5 go into this? Well, twice. How many are left over? 4. And so again, you're subtracting off 10. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18. How many times does 5 go into 18? 3 times. And what's left over, we'll subtract off 15, and there's 3 left over. Finally, we just drop the 3 down, and that's our answer. Same thing with 2043 base 6 times 3. Okay, so we have 3 times 3 is 9. How many times does 6 go into 9? Once. What's left over? 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. How many times does 6 go into that? Twice. With 1 left over. 0 times 3 is 0. Plus 2 is 2. We don't carry at all, so we just drop down that 2. 2 times 3 is 6. How many times does 6 go to 6? Once. What's left over? 0. And we drop the 1 down. And we have our final answer. Same idea for number 5. Three times 3 is 9. How many times does 4 go into 9? 2 times. What's the remainder? Subtract off 8, we get 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. How many times does 4 go into 11? Again, 2 times. Subtract off the 8, and we're left with 3. Same thing that happens again. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And that goes in twice, with 3 left over. And then finally we drop the final 2 down. So, realistically, for any of these, you can use a multiplication table, but if you would rather do all of these problems the same way, this is the way to do it, where you're carrying whatever the base goes into. So let's carry on with 2-digit multiplication. We do it the same way we do in base 10. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Well, how many times does 5 go into 6? Just once. What's left over? 1. And then we drop the 1 down. Just a friendly tip to keep everything nice and separated so you don't get confused with what you carried where. One suggestion is to rewrite the problem when you go to do the next row. So our one row is 1, 1, 2. Now when I go to do the next row, I look at the 2 times the 1 is 2, and 2 times the 3 is 6. How many times does 5 go to 6? Once. And what's left over? 1. Drop that 1 down. And now we add our totals. If it helps, you can put a 0 in there like we do with our normal multiplication. So, remember we're adding base 5. So, if we get a sum that's 5 or higher, we need to carry. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 1 is 1. Making our final answer 1, 2, 3, 2, base 5. We're going to carry through the same way with the next problem. 3 times 2 is 6. How many times does 4 go into 6? Once, with 2 left over. 0 times 2 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. How many times does 4 go into 4? Once. What's left over? Nothing. Drop the 1 down. Let's rewrite this again and do the next row. Solid base 4. So we have 1, 0, 1, 2. Well, now we want to do 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. And remember, we're adding in base 4, so we have 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. Well, it's 4 or higher, so I have to carry. What's left over? 0. 1 plus 0 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Making our final answer 3102, base 4. Okay, so we're going to move on to higher bases now. So rather than writing A03, since I'm going to make the divisions, I'm going to rewrite them as the numbers they are. So I'm going to write 10, 0, 3, base 12. Okay, so 3 times 8 is 24. How many times does that go into 12? Twice. What's the remainder? 0. 0 times 8 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 10 times 8 is 80. How many times does 12 go into 80? 6 times. Well, 6 times 12 is 72. So how far off are we? 8. Drop the 6 down, and we have our final answer. Okay. Similarly, last problem. Oh, and at the end, if we had anything that was 10 or higher, I would replace it with the letters. So, let's do the last problem. Remember, B is 11. So, we're in base 16 now. 2 times 11 is 22. How many times does 16 go into 22? Once. What's left over? 6. And 1 times 11 is 11, plus 1 is 12. Rather than writing 12, I'm going to write C. You can write a little 12 above to remind yourself. And 4 times 11 is 44. How many times does 16 go into this? Twice. Well, that would be 32. 44 minus 32, again, is 12. And again, rather than writing 12, I want to write C. And finally, drop the 2 down. Making our final answer 2CC6, 16.